format for all the pre-game news conferences. We'll do 15 minutes of Q&A with our student athletes, and then we'll do another 15 minutes with the head coach. Who wants to start off with our student athletes?
Sammy, to start with you, this is your 4th NCAA tournament. What are some of the things going through your head right now in terms of being your 4th and basically some of the things you guys need to do to keep this going?
I just think I'm not really looking at it as my 4th one. I mean, it's obviously in my head that's, you know, my last one, but I think as a team, we just need to come out and get back to playing how we play and stay focused. Every possession counts, and play as a team. And we're just looking at our first game against Florida and coming out and playing hard.
This is for Taylor. The things that have been hurting this team down the stretch, you've had 2 weeks now between games. Have you seen those things go away in practice? Do you feel like you're ready to play tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we're ready to play tomorrow. I think we made great adjustments these past couple weeks in practice. It's been more intense. We've been challenging each other. We've been reversing the ball. So I think we kind of went away from that during the season. That's why we got a couple L's under us. But I think these past couple of weeks has really been turned around for us.
For each of the players, your coach made a statement when the seedings came out, and obviously displays. What were your thoughts on that, or does it matter?
At this point, it doesn't really matter. We're here, and we got to play. Those are the cards we were dealt. I mean, it was disrespectful, but we're here. We got to play, and you know, we're just looking at our first game.
I'm in agreement with her. I mean, we're here now. There's nothing we can do about it. It was disrespectful, but we've been disrespected since the beginning of the season, so it's not anything new for us.
Sammy, I read some things that the Florida coach said prior to this game, and she said you were recruited by them. You were actually going to visit. She also said you recruited Taylor. But what do you know about her, and what do you know about the Florida team?
I like Coach Butler. I was always a fan of her. She brings great energy to her team, and we just know that they like to get up and down. They like to run. They're athletic. They can rebound. So, yeah, that's what we basically know, and we like to run, so it'll be good.
Taylor, you just said that you felt that your team had been disrespected since the start of the season. I mean, has that been a motivating factor for this, or have you guys put it behind you?
I think it's been a motivating factor since the beginning of the season. I think nobody knew the team we had and what we was working with except for ourselves and our coaches. And I think at the beginning of the season it was a motivation for us. And I think now that we're an 8th seed, it's a motivator for us just to see that everything we accomplished over the season they didn't take into any consideration. So.
Disrespect you felt you had during the season, was that from a couple of the losses? Do you think that people took them too seriously besides yourselves? I mean, you have to move on from the loss, but how did you feel disrespected during the season?
Just from the beginning of the season, we were underdogs. We were never in the talk about Big Ten. We were never in the talk about being a top team. We weren't ranked in the top 25. I mean, just from the beginning of the season, nobody thought we were going to be anything.
Sammy, the disrespecting part thing might make people think that you're not happy to be here, and maybe not as focused as maybe Florida would be on the first game. You know, you've been like wrong in a way, but as a team, what are you guys thinking toward this first game and as a team?
I just think we're just going to play hard, you know. Like I said, they like to run, they like to bring energy. We got to box out, we got to finish plays. we're gonna run, we gotta play as a team. I mean, we gotta do all the little things. No question about it, we're focused on our first game. And people can say what they want, but we're focused on our first game. We wanna be here, we're in the tournament. So we're happy.
For Taylor, you go through the season, you go Thursday, Saturday, or Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Monday, whatever, and now you haven't played in 2 weeks now. From a momentum standpoint, how do you feel about that? Is it something that are you concerned about that tomorrow? Will it take you, I don't know, 5 minutes to maybe find your game legs again?
No. That's why I said this practice, these past couple weeks has been intense. I think we've been simulating game situations in practice. So we're excited, we're ready to play.
Anything else for Samantha? Ladies, you're welcome to head back to the locker. Okay, who wants to start it off with Coach Foster?
They're happy to be here. I think you're happy to be here. But what are your thoughts still, I mean, a week later about being an 8th seed instead of maybe a 4 or a 5 or even a 6 seed in terms of and staying in Ohio playing the NCAA tournament?
Just curious from a historical perspective in the history of the NCAA tournament. Has there ever been a team that was 8-4 against the top 50 RPI, seeded 8th? And if not, why a history-making decision? Of course, we're happy to be here. We had as good a 2 weeks of practice as I've had with a team in preparation for the NCAA tournament. We're very young, and as a result, we're very resilient. And if you haven't noticed, Sammy Perales is the kind of person that's, she walks around and there's always been questions regarding, you know, the smaller players always get dumped on a little bit in the game of basketball. She was coming to Ohio State and the style of play wasn't conducive. She was a little bit too fiery for some. She's handled everything that's come her way, and she's a very competitive person. And sometimes people's decisions and thoughts, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire. So I think we're ready, and very much looking forward to being in this tournament.
Jim, I asked Taylor about the 2 weeks between games. You just said you had some of your best practices.
Mm-hmm.
From a format standpoint, is that something you'd like to see different? I mean, is there any other way the women's tournament can do it than having 2 weeks between games?
Well, the Big Ten figured out how to shorten the distance between the last time their best football team plays and being in a bowl game. So I know there's a historical perspective within the framework of the minds of our athletic directors, and I'm sure they're working diligently on shortening the distance between the end of the season and the NCAA tournament.
Is it hard to, again, first game, but there's always a first game, but when you have a team like Baylor and Brittany Griner probably being the second opponent, is it hard to keep your kids focused on the first game and not take a look?
No, because as soon as you look at Florida, you understand that they're a very good basketball team. You understand that they're very athletic. And you understand that they're very excited and are going to bring a lot of passion to being in the NCAA tournament. You know, they're a senior-laden group. They hadn't been here. And they're excited to be here. And if you don't match that enthusiasm, we're happy to be in the NCAA tournament. And looking forward to playing.
Coach John Wagner from the Toledo Blade. I know Malika Kennard's not one of your starters, but she is coming home for this tournament. Will you talk a little bit about what you've seen from her and also what you're expecting from her in the future?
Well, she's a very hard-nosed, tenacious defender. She has to realize, as every freshman in the country has to realize, that they're sort of bait for officials when they walk in the game, and you're an aggressive player. You've got to learn how to play at the level, what you can do, what you can't do. You know, you've spent your whole career being, you know, Kennard that everybody knows, and now you're Kennard that nobody knows. But she's a very hard worker, very diligent, bright kid, good kid. Just passed her this morning and complimented her on the fact that the quarter just ended. We just had finals this week, and she was reading a book. Nice to see.
Hi, Coach.
Morning.
I don't know what the protocol is on something like this, but are you able to talk to NCAA selection committee people?
I had a very long conversation with Greg Christopher this morning.
Can you?
I'll keep that personal.
Okay, but keeping it as personal.
We will continue to have long conversations. We've agreed to have meet and have another conversation.
Here now or in the future?
Future.
Okay. I'm just, did you get any feedback that you can share with us as to how the seating?
I'll keep the conversation between Greg and myself personal.
Do you feel any better about it after the conversation? Can you say that?
Do I feel any better? Looking forward to playing the game.
Jim, you said on Monday when you saw Florida, the first thing you said, SEC team, they do this, they do that. I mean, you know them probably better than anybody in this building over in Florida. What is it that sets them apart, or SEC teams, that style? What's the difference?
Well, they're very athletic, attack the rim, very aggressive defensively. So you know how the game is managed and maintained by the officials. You know, the NCAA tournament, despite what everybody says, is officiated differently, always has been, always will be. You know, officials are just like anybody else. You know, there's members of the committee, there's people critiquing you, watching you. You know, at a cold winter night in the middle of February, you're sort of out there on your own. Get into March, you get a lot of company.
Anything else for Coach Foster? Coach, any final thoughts?
I got one more question here.
Can you just talk about the opportunity to play within a couple hours at Columbus?
Well, yeah, I'm betwixt and between about that, quite frankly. In my mind, we have one of the most exciting and dynamic players in women's college basketball. She's going to be first, second, third, or fourth pick in the WNBA draft. She won't go any worse than fourth. She's exciting, dynamic. We need to sell our game. The people of Ohio have seen it for 4 years. I think it would have been a wonderful opportunity to go into another environment and bring people who maybe not necessarily haven't seen the game, but if you watch you know, the local news would have a 1-minute clip of highlights of her career. It would draw people. And in a sport that's starving for that, I'd like to see more of it. I'd like to see more thought in taking our best players and our best teams and not protecting them, but using them as attributes and assets and selling our game. Quite frankly, I'd like to see Brittany Griner in Chicago this weekend. All due respects to Bowling Green. It's the third largest media center in the United States. You got NBA players tweeting about her gifts. A player like that comes along, you know, once in a lifetime. Sell the game. promote the game, think the game. Having said that, I've really grown fond of the state of Ohio. Glad to be here.
Okay, Coach, any final thoughts?
I'm going to go read the Times and see if I can come up with some.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for your time.